I mean, the things I've done to my skin as a teenager, I used to use St. Ives apricot scrub all the time. I had the Clean and Clear stuff. I had these like really harsh benzoyl peroxide products that bleached all our towels. I've done so much stuff. It was just horrible. Hey everyone, it's Lucy from KBeautyHobbit.com. It's been a while since I've done a video about oily skin, but this is something that definitely comes up a lot in my group, Korean Beauty Fanatics. I have combination skin, but it used to be quite a bit oilier, so I do have a lot of experience tackling the oil and I can share my best tips for you. This is not a product recommendation video. I will give you some general advice, and then if you need specific product recommendations, definitely leave me a comment or, go join the group and ask in there as well. My first tip is not to overstrip the skin. I think at least it used to be, and still some people do this, when the skin is oily, people go for the harshest cleanser, the most potent thing, the most astringent product. It makes me think of the old school Clean and Clear toners or tonics where it would sting and that meant that it was working. And while right away after you use something like that, your skin might feel clean and tight and you might even enjoy that squeaky clean feeling, what ends up happening is it will just produce what I call revenge oil to try and hang on to the very little moisture that's still, or water that's still left there, and you will most likely get even oilier and potentially red and irritated as well. I used to, when I was a teenager, wipe my excess oil off with rubbing alcohol, and it's a miracle that I even have skin left, but I am older and wiser now, so I have much better coping mechanisms. My next advice is to have completely different morning and evening routines. And I don't just mean use SPF in the morning and use a night mask in the evening. I mean tackle your oiliness or have some oil control products in the morning for aesthetic purposes, because most of us don't want to be an oil slick, but in the evening really focus on hydration and nourishing the skin. Even if it feels a little bit maybe sticky or heavy, it's still a good thing to really nourish the skin before bed, hydrated. It cuts down on that revenge oil in the long run. But in the morning is when I do a very minimal skincare routine. I just do a toner pad or a water rinse. You can cleanse if you want, but for me, again, that just tends to overstrip the skin a little bit and I get oilier. So I notice that water rinsing is the best, and then I do a toner pad, vitamin C serum, and sunscreen. Sometimes I'll put a moisturizer in between the C serum and the sunscreen if it's cold and dry months. Again, just want to protect that hydration so I don't get oily when my skin gets dehydrated. And then in the evening is when I do all the toners, essences, serums, ampules, creams and that kind of stuff, and it's really improved the way that my skin looks. It's a lot more even and I don't get that shiny forehead that I used to get by lunchtime. It used to be really bad. People with oily skin or combination skin still need to moisturize. It might be tempting not to. You might think that that's going to be too heavy or it will clog pores, etc., etc. That oily skin doesn't need moisturizing, but it still does. You might have dehydrated skin that's oily, or your skin might be hydrated and still oily, but it's good to give it some moisture. There are plenty of really nice formulas on the market now that are gel based and that are lighter. Rovectin makes a great one. Another really good one is this Chasing Rabbit's Golden Ruler gel cream. I use this one in the morning currently. There are just so many different moisturizers now. You can go with more of a lotion formula versus a cream. There's really something for everybody now. So I encourage you to explore and find something that works for you. And especially as we get a little bit older, and based on channel stats, like most of my audience are about my age range, I'm 32, it's important to moisturize for just the sake of the appearance of wrinkles and such. My next tip is to go easy on the makeup and powders. And you might laugh, and if you are a makeup pro, this may be just making you cringe, but when I apply foundation or BB cream, which is very rare, a lot of the times I will skip the super oily areas. And again, my super oily areas are not really that oily anymore, but they're still oil prone. So I will skip like my forehead, or I might put just some, I'll put powder on it, but today I didn't put any BB cream on it. I put some of the Purito here because it had a little bit of redness and I just wanted to smooth it out for the video. But I noticed that the more I pile on of anything, primer, BB cream, powder, whatever. And then if I start to get a little oily, everything just looks like crap. Everything looks like an oily mess. If you are going to have oily skin, it's so much better to have oily skin on top of, let's say, just sunscreen than oily skin mixed with powder and makeup. And when I just have sunscreen and a little powder, should I start to get oily and I want to use an oil blotting paper or something like that, and then maybe do a little bit more powder on top, all of that looks so much better than trying to put powder on top of BB cream and stuff like that. And I know not everybody is comfortable with their skin the way it looks bare or naked without makeup, but if you are, try that, because I do really think that in the morning, sometimes the fewer layers the better for oily skin. Next tip has to do with that first tip, the no overstripping. You still want to cleanse, but it needs to be gentle and effective. I have a ton of reviews on my blog, KBeautyHobbit.com, for different cleansers. I double cleanse, so I use an oil-based cleanser or cleansing balm first to break up sunscreen and makeup at the end of the day, and then I use a foaming cleanser. But things like this was even in my recent fails and faves video. This is by Wishtrend Acid Duo. It's a 2% slightly acidic cleanser with salicylic acid. It is very, very gentle, but with time, with consistent use, it makes the skin more balanced. It can help with pore appearance, and it makes everything so smooth. And when I'm done rinsing this off after cleansing with it, my skin feels nice and soft and velvety, but it's not squeaky clean, it's not tight, and it's not dry. So it's lovely. Next tip is to get some special occasion products, or what I'd call like vanity products, where the purpose of them is more cosmetic than really skincare. For example, right now I have the Whamisa Apple Sebum Treatment, and they call it a serum, but it's a gel. It makes my skin feel a little tight, and it's not necessarily uncomfortable, but it's not something I would use daily, because I think over time it would be a little bit maybe too drying or too tight. But if I need to look super matte, like for pictures, let's say, or if I just have some sort of event and maybe I expect to be a little bit sweaty or to want to wear some more makeup layers and stuff like that, and I just want to be not shiny, I would put that on, especially on the T-zone, and it's awesome. So find products like that, but just don't use them in excess to a point of actually compromising your skin. Don't wipe with rubbing alcohol. Next one is a good tip for any skin type, oily, sensitive, normal, whatever, is not to touch your face. The more we touch our faces, the more we introduce bacteria and dirt to them, but also if you have oily prone skin, just like oily scalp, the more you handle the skin, the more you handle the hair, it will just get greasier and greasier. Like if I sat here and massaged and touched and touched and touched and touched my forehead forever, it will get oily, because it'll get oil from my hands, and then if my hands aren't super clean, so the less you touch your face, the better. I mean during the day. Obviously when you're cleansing and applying skincare, it's actually very nice to do a gentle massage. It can be relaxing. It can even improve the appearance of wrinkles if your wrinkles are due to underlying muscle tension. If you're somebody like me who's constantly having the WTF lines like this, I'm going, WTF is wrong with you? So sometimes massaging all of that tension away can really help. Just make sure your face is clean and your hands are clean, and you have some sort of product on, like a face oil or a really nice rich cream, to give you that slip so you're not actually tugging on the skin and not damaging anything. And last but not least, and again, I'm not a skincare professional, you probably already know that if you follow my channel, I'm just very dedicated enthusiast. So for sure consult a doctor if you need to, or if you have some severe concerns. But in my personal opinion, in my experience, exfoliation is very important, and it can greatly improve the appearance of pores and skin tone and texture. And sometimes with oilier skin types, texture and the pore size are big concerns. In my experience, it's a lot better to stick with gentle, mild, low percentage exfoliation that you're using more consistently, like AHAs, maybe PHAs, and BHA is also good, but that typically having a product that's gentle and that you're using on a regular basis, in my opinion, does more for the skin long term than a very robust, like peel your skin to the bone sort of product, like the TO, for example, the ordinary peeling solution, the red one that everybody was dripping into their eyes on TikTok last year. stuff like that is probably beneficial, and I'm sure there are people who use it properly and love it, but I do see a lot of users abuse it as well and then get bad reactions and burning. And it's something like that when it's very high concentration and a very potentially harsh product, you're just opening yourself up to a user error that could go really wrong. So I prefer things that are much more gentle, but that I'm using maybe 3 times a week, and then long term I'm seeing the benefits and the results. And I must say, I don't know if it's all due to aging. I highly doubt it, because my skin with age really hasn't changed that much, but my skin in the last 4 years or 5 years has evened out drastically since I started doing Korean skincare and got a blog and a channel and everything else. And I've just been gentle to my skin and not overstripping it, hydrating it properly, not shying away from moisturizers, wearing sunscreen every day. I mean, everything's just so much more even now. I used to carry powder with me and reapply it throughout the day. I don't have to do that anymore. I definitely don't do the rubbing alcohol thing anymore. I don't recommend that. Don't do that. It's a miracle I still have skin left after that. I mean, the things I've done to my skin as a teenager, I used to use St. Ives apricot scrub all the time. I had the clean and clear stuff. I had these like really harsh benzoyl peroxide products that bleached a lot of towels. I've done so much stuff. It was just horrible, and I really wish we had back then. Back then, wasn't that long ago, okay? Wasn't that long ago, but I really wish we had all the things that people have now. I wish we had access to all the information, and honestly, Amazon Prime would have been like amazing when I was in high school. Anyway, I'm going down memory lane, and that's not what this video is about. Tell me what your favorite oily or combination skin tips are in the comments. I would love to read them. I have a video that is like this from several years ago, but that one was very like product oriented, and I've learned even more since then, and I have better recording equipment now. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. You can find me on my blog, KBeautyHobbit.com, my Instagram at KBeautyHobbit, in my private Facebook group, Korean Beauty Fanatics, of course here on YouTube, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, please remember to always listen to your skin. Thank you so much. Bye.